Good evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are. This is Link to the Past Randomizer week 7, the last day of the regular season, co-op week. My name is Arusta. My co-commentator is Relkin. How are you doing today, Relkin?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Very good. This should be a really good match here today between the Titans mitts on the right side of your screen, represented by Daaanty and Etium, and Team 63 and a third on the left side, represented by Reg and Carnath. The playoff scenarios are still up for grabs here. If Titans mitts wins, I believe they secure a spot, but if they lose, I believe they miss a spot in the playoffs, so should be interesting.
Yep, you are correct. Titans mitts are winning in and losing out, like you said. Starting off, we have the Lamp in the Sanctuary and a 5/6 crystal at Eastern Palace and regular crystals elsewhere.
Yeah, and for those of you who are just catching up for week 7 this week is co-op week. So essentially all 4 runners have the exact same seed. And then the 2 runners on each team, so Daaanty and Etium versus Reg and Carnath, are in a Discord channel and they sort of talk through. So here's what you should skip, here are the chests that are important, etc.
Yeah, and it is all dungeons, so no matter what, we have to beat all 10 Light World, Dark World dungeons. We have to beat both versions of Aghanim and then finish off with Ganon. Well, it's a good thing it's all dungeons, because that Ice Rod's required no matter what.
Yeah, and what you'll see here is you see how each runner on the team is in a different spot, and that's really a key thing to co-op week, is you really want to, as much as possible, avoid being the same checks, avoid doing the things at the same time, so you can know what checks are useless, which are important, etc.
Yeah, the Titans mitts on the right are taking the approach of converging into Kakariko Village, one from the north, one from the south, while Reg and Carnath are taking a bit more diverse approach, one buying bombs and going South Shore, while the other takes on Kakariko. I'm a bigger fan of the left team's approach, but both approaches are decent in their own way, just because the right approach, which is converging in Kakariko, means you both get the items basically around the same time and can go from there. The other approach, which is what Reg and Carnath are doing, are dividing and conquering, figuring out both high-density locations in the Light World at the same time. What are the points of interest? Alright, so Blindset didn't really give us anything useful. I mean, it gave us a heart container, which, you know, some teams like to skip out on a bunch of heart containers just because they feel like it's not worth their time going for a safety. The bigger safeties you'd like to go for are like the mail upgrades, or half magic, or bottles, pre-filled especially.
Yeah, and it is worth noting we found flippers in the chicken hut, which both Carnath and Etium have checked. So that could be a nice sign of potential progression. And I believe Carnath just got a sword as well from the well.
He actually got 2, both really close to each other. Yeah, and both Daaanty and Etium getting the information on both swords in the well.
Yeah, and Etium doing a save and quit here to Sanctuary to pick up the lamp. And then might do either the escape or a lot of things open that they haven't seen yet. Maybe those South Shore checks to see if they can pay off the flippers, something like that.
I think Etium is actually going to go straight to the castle here. Yeah, he has the ability to clear most of the castle right now, and also go ahead and take care of Aghanim, which is required for 2 reasons. This seed: 1, the ice rods on lumberjack, and 2, it's all dungeons, so you have to do it no matter what. This is a decent strategy. I do like this because this could also be potentially required for Dark World access as well.
Yeah, and that definitely makes sense as well, because getting that fire rod early, even if it's not your dark world access, will allow etium to do some of the checks. Skullwood, the back of Skullwoods, potentially even Turtle Rock, depending on how that plays out, earlier than Daaanty will. So it sort of divvies up the work, and that's really a key to this week.
All right, over on Reg's side, we got the Blue Cane and the Cape. If it wasn't already an Aghanim seed, possibly. There's a bigger indication right there.
Meanwhile, on Team 63 and a third side, we're going to get the lumberjack check, so they're going to find out about that required fire rod as well. So we'll see if that leads them to, having just found those safeties, immediately pick up the 2 swords and make the escape/aga play.
I want to say that was the ice rod on lumberjack, not fire rod. All right, so etium getting the map out of Zelda's cell means that the key has not been found in Sanctuary. So the key is somewhere out there still in the castle. It could be in this upcoming chest, or it could be in the back, but locked behind the glove. Well, etium will get to see whether he can continue on to back of escape once he checks this next chest. And we also saw the Ether Medallion over on Desert Ledge, so that is a bit of knowledge that the Titans Mitts have now.
Again, finding that key, Relkin's going to go ahead and try to pay it off with the back of escape.
Excuse me,
not Relkin. Excuse me, etium. I apologize.
Okay, I have to bring this up now that you did that. Apathy Duck did the exact same thing whenever he was commenting with me last week. Don't be like Apathy Duck, people.
I apologize, and I will try not to be like Duck.
All right, so with the key and Dark Cross, etium was able to go all the way to the back. He gets the Moon Pearl, so even bigger incentive for him to just go ahead and do Aghanim, and he's really thinking about that. It's just the time it takes for him to Death Warp. He does have Green Nail, so everything does a quarter heart damage. He has no bombs, though, so he is unable to do full hearts at a time. So this is a bit slow, but I think overall this might be faster than saving and quitting, but he's going to do it anyway. So whatever, you know.
Meanwhile, Daaanty is going to show off some of these. Lake Highlight Island is useless. Probably show off all the flippers checks. It is worth noting that Daaanty only has 166 rupees, so if he's hoping to play this out to Zora, we'll have to find some rupees along the way.
Yeah, so one unfortunate thing about this early start is that we got flippers like pretty much right away. So if you were hoping to do a Houlihan, you're kind of out of luck for the moment.
Meanwhile, it looks like Reg is also going to try some of these flippers checks, though it is worth noting that Reg has significantly more rupees to start with, so if he lucks out a little bit and finds even a little bit of rupees, he's looking for a bit fewer than Daaanty, so might find what he needs.
So Daaanty did find a glove in the waterfall, which is a bit of a rude thing to find when you're so low on money and do not have the ability to hula hand until that point. So he's going to have to leave Zor behind for now.
Yeah, but it is worth noting with that glove, Daaanty will be able to go to Sanctuary when he chooses and get that Moon Pearl out of the back of Escape very quickly. And on Team 63 and a third side, looks like Carnath is going to do the same play we just saw from Etium a couple minutes ago, paying off all the way through back of Escape, which is going to be good for them so that their team learns about that Moon Pearl back there.
And it looks to me like Daaanty is going to go ahead and go to Eastern Palace this early. Just trying to divvy up the checks as much as possible, just so that more ground can be covered, which I can totally understand, not wanting to go ahead and do Aghanim now just because you feel like you're following in your partner's footsteps. So, I mean, it's to me, I would honestly go either way here. I'd either go to Eastern or do Aghanim right now. I honestly would prefer to do Aghanim just because it feels like it's the right thing to do, and maybe just going to Eastern's a waste of time. But at the same time, you have the ability to get this information. Is Eastern early required? Is it not? It's a bit of a coin flip, but I mean,
yeah, and it is worth noting that the one benefit of doing Eastern early, even if he doesn't find anything here, is Daaanty will be able to convey that information to Etium of, hey, the big key is in the cannonball chest, and here are the other chests you need to check, or here are the ones you can skip. So it will make Etium's future run through Eastern a lot easier. Also,
go ahead.
I was going to say, to answer a question in chat, the number in brackets next to each team name is the number of points they have. Titans Mitts have 27, and they're currently in a tie for the playoff scenario, whereas Team 63 and a third has 9 and has been eliminated from playoffs, but Titans Mitts basically needs to win here to make the playoffs, so it's important for them, and Team 63 and a third can play spoiler here.
Looks like Carnath is going to go ahead and kill Aghanim, just like Etium is doing right now. And Reg is actually going to go and climb the mountain. This is another one of our available logical checks that we have. Well, there's our third sword in Eastern Palace. As if it wasn't already a Dark World access seed. Okay, Kane Samari on the old man. That'll be a required thing to do. And in the Dark World, we have Green Pendant Turtle Rock, Pendant Thieves Town and Skull Woods, and the other 5/6 crystal is at Pot. And Reg biting a cabbage in the face, or taking a bite from the cabbage in the face, whichever way you spin it. That's one of the worst, worst parts about Death Mountain climbing is that you no matter what mail you have, you take a heart of damage to these cabbages.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the Titans Myth side, Etium showing off that Pyramid Ledge was not the answer, just a single rupee.
Well, maybe this Eastern dip was actually required. I don't know about you.
I mean, it's entirely possible, and one thing to note if you're a Titans Myths fan right now is that hook shot is going to make, when Daaanty decides to make the play to the mountain, will make that play a little more productive than what Reg found, because Daaanty will be able to hook shot over and get all of the Eastern Death Mountain checks as well. And to answer a question in chat, the vanilla big key chest was the hook shot, and then they also found tempered and 10 arrows in there.
All right, so both Reg and Carnath going to be doing the Aghanim climb. Daaanty's actually going to go up the mountain, like you suggested, and do some East Death Mountain. He'll also get his Cane of Samaria off the Old Man.
It is worth noting while etium is here in pod that does not have a bow or a potion, so those two chests, bow lock chests, cannot be accessed at this point.
All right, so etium taking a Death Warp there in Eastern, pod makes me think he's gonna. No, he's just gonna leave. Interesting. Maybe he doesn't feel like he can do much in pod. I think he may be bow locked actually.
Meanwhile, etium also now going to try to pay off that mushroom, which is a good choice when you get it super early. And it looked like the only thing thus far in Paradox here is the powder, which might be nice for the future, but it's not necessarily required unless there's an item on bat. There is a blue mail on the floating island, which is something that, if you have to come back and you can route it in early, is something that would be very nice to have as a safety.
Really, only that mail is, to me, is only good going for if you don't have if you don't have the other mail upgrade at that point and you're in Hookshot Cave with a mirror. Speaking of mirror,
So it looks like Daaanty's going to see if he can pay that mirror off and see what's in Hera, which makes a bunch of sense since he doesn't Aga 1 yet. So maybe let etium get the hook shot and have etium start doing the West Dark World checks by hook shotting over. Meanwhile, on Team 63 and a third side, both have finished off their Aga 1 play. Looks like, I would guess, Reg is probably going to do what we just saw from etium, check out some of the pod and possibly even catfish, whereas Team 63 and a third, Carnath, has not yet been to Eastern. Looks like he's heading there now to get his hook shot.
All right, we get the big key early in Hera, which means we won't be skipping the big chest today, thankfully.
Yeah, and looks like Daaanty is setting up for the Hera pot here. Very nice work getting that Hera pot quickly and efficiently. But with that small key, there is an item in the basement. We'll have to see if Daaanty decides to go back for it. This early in the seed, with the number of items you're still looking for, you'd have to assume probably yes. And at 21 minutes, the Titan's Myths is on the board with the first dungeon completed. There was just bombs on Moldorm, but there is still an item in the basement.
Yeah, at this point, I do not think Daaanty will be skipping that just because getting all the information or knowledge or items possible while he's this far ahead, progression-wise, of etium, it'd be wise to go ahead and just do this now.
Yeah, especially since Daaanty has already seen all of East Light World Death Mountain and not really gotten anything there except the mirror, so it would be good to be able to tell your partner and not have this location isolated. Oh, and there is the flute in the basement of Pod. That is definitely big for Team 63 and a third. And also, good idea from Reg there to pick up as much money as he could to be ready for Zora.
Yeah, etium bailed on the back of Pod then, I guess, since Reg went ahead and did some stuff, did more than etium did, apparently.
Yeah, I think Etium only had one key, which might have been why I decided to skip back of Pod, since he knew he could only do a very limited amount of things there. But it's definitely paid off for Team 63 and a third.
I'm kind of confused as to why Reg is not activating his flute to do this mushroom check instead of doing what he's doing now with the fake flipper, or sorry, the flipper by Swamp. All right, either way, he is not interested with what that mushroom led to, so he's going to keep it in case he can fake powder later, which we already know where powder is anyway, so it's not a huge deal to us.
Yeah, but knowing that you already have the red cane, it makes sense to keep that just in case it happens to be buried. So a very good choice there by Reg to flute over. Going to go pick up his hook shot, which going to open up a lot more things for him. The West Dark World and then more of the mountain should he want that.
Yeah, in fact, coming to Eastern and walking all the way there, whether by flute or just walking, this is absolutely required because the hook shot blocks a mirror. So this is the only way you can go get your mirror. Alright, so Etium back to the Dark World. Looks like he's got the hook shot out. He's gonna be hooking across the river. I don't know if either of them have checked Catfish yet. I know that Carnath checked Catfish, but I don't know if Etium did. But it looks like Etium's gonna go check Catfish real quick.
Yeah, I don't think anybody on Titan's Mitts has checked Catfish yet.
Yeah, and due to Etium's money situation, once again, that Zora is not going to get checked. So Zora is just out, completely out of the question for the Titan's Mitts, pretty much the entire seed. So if anything is there, they're not going to get it for a long time.
Yeah, though it is worth noting, on the Team 63 and a third side, they have not checked Zora either, but Reg does have 452 rupees. So if they decide to go back just for that check, it's not that far out of the way. They'll be getting the money for it pretty quickly. Not that far out of the way money-wise, I mean. To answer a question in chat, gloves were in the waterfall ferry. The mitts, we don't know yet. Yeah, and so on the Titans Mitts side, as Chad is pointing out, looks like Daaanty is going to play out to Pod, but already knowing how Etium spent his keys, might try to play it out a little differently and see what else is there that Etium missed just due to key locking. Ooh, and a book on Bumper Cave, which all of our runners do have the cape, so that's something you can pick up, but it's kind of an out-of-the-way check, so it's good that both teams found that out pretty quickly. Meanwhile, Daaanty is going the bow lock side of Pod, does not have a bow or potion, so we're probably going to see the Mimic clip here. And a very nice and fast Mimic clip there by Daaanty. Very impressive. Meanwhile, on Team 63 and a third side, they are now on the board with Carnath completing Tower of Hera. Going to go do basement. While Reg goes through, takes an intentional death there, looks like, because he was only on 1 heart, and then going to go through and see what he can find in Skull Woods. Meanwhile, since Daaanty did the Mimic clip, we'll be able to clear a lot more of Pod than etium was able to, and we'll be able to get them both that flute and probably knowledge of stuff like Dark Maze. Can't complete the dungeon without Hammer, but can clear pretty much everything he wants to see here. And there are the mitts in the pinball chest in Skull Woods. That is a big find for Reg, Team 63 and a third. And with where etium is, Team Titans mitts are going to find out where their namesake is pretty quickly as well. Meanwhile, Daaanty's also finding 300 rupees in the Pod Dark Maze, which in normal seed you might not even mention at this point, but since nobody's checked Zora, that's actually a very nice thing to find. Meanwhile,
Right.
Reg finding the second item in Skull Woods was just bombs, so nothing else there.
All right, so with those mitts and the flute, we got access to the mire area. We have it across the board, but no one individually has the access. So Daaanty's gonna have to hook across to go get those mitts. Although, actually, no, Reg does have it. He has both the mitts and the flute. All right, and Carnath will soon be joining.
Yeah, it is worth noting that no one yet has any medallions, so they can't get into Mire, but that knowledge is something that's very nice to have early, just so you know how many items you are from Go mode. Meanwhile, thus far in the Village of Outcast checks, we're not really seeing a whole lot. Except there, commentator's blessing, curse, whatever you want to call it, boots in the dig game or in the chess game, which is a very nice thing for etium to find. And it's clearly something you can see. Daaanty is on his way there. Carnath is almost certainly going to go there right now as well. So boots are one of those things that over time it really adds up if you get those significantly ahead of your opponent.
All right, so here's an interesting point of divergence here. There's Bombos. Thieves Town, without a hammer, kind of risky sometimes to go all the way through and just, flip a coin to see if an item there is in the big chest. You don't have the hammer, you can't get it. See if any of the runners, for that matter, will mirror out after the front four.
Looks like etium is going to play it through. Since in the route they're taking, etium is a little in front of Daaanty, might be a thing where they've decided in their co-op chat that, etium will do this, so that way when Daaanty gets there, they'll know how many items, if there is an item in that chest, and that can help Daaanty make a decision whether to make the play now or leave it off. Also, one subtle but interesting thing I think I've noticed is I don't think any of the runners, when they were doing the bumper cave, went that extra screen up to get their rod off of Lumberjack.
That rod can kind of be gotten at any time, really. It's just the ice rod.
True, but the one thing is that, you know, if you've already done all these checks, it's now kind of off in its own little area there. You can still save and quit to Sanctuary, but you're going up there just for that.
I think we may have already seen all 4 items in Thieves Town.
Yeah, etium skipped the chest in the cell there, so I have to think they've seen all 4, which will be very nice and means it's not going to hurt them putting that off or going there hammerless.
Reg almost muscle memored his way to checking that chest, but caught himself, so yeah, this pretty much confirms that we've got every item in here. Alright, so Daaanty goes ahead and gets his ice rod while he's up here.
Probably go check bonk rocks and all that while he's here as well. Etium and Reg both getting a little off script there, but able to handle it very nicely. Good play, both of them.
First bottle in bonk rocks only took 38 minutes. But yeah, now that opens up Sick Kid. Carnath doing the Smith chain real quick, which Etium is most likely going to be doing following the dig game.
Nothing useful there on King's Tomb. Daaanty going to pull out the flute and quickly try to pay off this bottle at Sick Kid. Makes a lot of sense because with the flute it's a very quick check. But getting a full heart, which is not bad to have, not something you're unhappy to see this early with this many hearts, but still not something you'd really go out of your way for. Meanwhile, it does look that while Reg and Carnath are on the same screen even, they have split up a lot of their checks in the way that one of them did Smith Chain, the other did, and is going to do Purple Chest, while the other has done the some of the other checks, like Dig Game. So it's a very nice way to sort of divide things up.
Yeah, and speaking of that, one of them is choosing to go to Bombo's tablet, the other's going to Hype Cave, so even more of that kind of dividing up checks. In fact, Carnath is the one that got the purple chest, so he's going to go and turn it in here. Alright, Reg is going to go check out the boots checks that he could not check out earlier because he did not have the mirror. So he's going to do that, and he's probably going to have to, sooner or later, go get his mirror. He still has not gone up the mountain. He's also going to pick up the ice rod. This makes sense. Daaanty getting a little low on health here. He's got to be careful.
He does have a fairy, but yeah, it's definitely a gutsy way to play here.
Oh. We missed this. Guess what was it? Magic Bat?
I'm guessing it's hammer based on the way the tracker looks.
Yeah, and based on the fact that etium has it equipped now.
And that is big for the Titans bits because Team 63 and a third left that behind. I mean, did not go get that.
Yeah, Carnath was the one that could have done it at the time, and he didn't. So he's coming into Swamp for no reason. Can't really do anything here.
Yeah, the fact hammer even can be at Magic Bat is one of those unique things about the randomizer, because while it's entirely possible to get there with just the mirror in a regular seed, you normally, if you're playing vanilla or casually, you'll have hammer well before you get there anyway, so you won't even really need to think about the fact you can mirror there.
All right, and with the mirror that Reg just got, he's probably going to be doing some Dark Death Mountain checks. Which I guess if he really wants it, he can go grab that mail upgrade sitting on Floating Island.
Yeah, I would think at this point, if you're already doing all the hookshot caves check, you probably would consider it. If when his partner gets up here, if there's nothing in hookshot cave, that would be when you might see someone completely skip it.
All right, nothing out of Super Bunny Cave. Gonna go ahead and check the Turtle Rock Medallion. This makes sense. You have one, and it's Ether, and it's not the one we have. So we're still needing the Ether Medallion, which at this point it could be in GT. This is all dungeons, and any pendant dungeon can have its required items to beat it inside GT. Which actually, if you think about it, Fire Rod could also be in GT. We have Bombos, so we can beat Ice Palace.
Yeah, and we don't know what's at Meyer yet because neither of them have been there. In Hookshot Cave, looks like Reg is not even going to go for that mail, but did find a bow and a pre-filled green potion in a bottle there. So that's definitely something all of our runners are going to probably end up having to go to at some point.
Yeah, and honestly, at this point, depending on what the Meyer Medallion is, we actually might be able to enter GT now. Ugh, Reg, put the shield back there. Throw it away. Get that out of my sight.
But it's so shiny and laggy.
I'll just, cover the left top side of my screen. That way I don't have to see that garbage.
Yeah, meanwhile, Etium coming here with the hammer is going to get his 300 rupees that we saw on Team 63 and a third side, but is also going to be able to do the rest of the dungeon, which is going to be a huge advantage for them.
Did we see what the Meyer Medallion was over on Reg's side? Well, we did see mail upgrades, so that's both mail upgrades located.
I did not catch what the Meyer medallion was.
Oh, we knew where Ether was. That's right. Okay, so forget about Ether being in GT. Right. I remember Daaanty checking the desert ledge earlier on. Okay, so apparently Quake is the Meyer medallion. So at that point, we're just now looking for Quake to enter GT.
Yeah, though on Team 63 and the third side, they've really isolated Magic Bat, so hopefully they'll go back there sometime soon. Powder, to answer a question, is in one of the chests in Paradox Cave.
All right, Etium's going to go ahead and make the jump on left side swamp. Oh, and he just walks in the door a little bit late, later than he should have. So he'll just go ahead and take his losses and go around the long way. The proper way to do that is to let the bomb explode while you're still in the room, and then once it explodes, you go through the doorway. And that way, when you do the diver down here, you'll have this small key, and you'll be able to activate the switch whenever you walk into the room. Asking about why Reg doesn't have powder. He doesn't need it. He did not lose his mushroom. He safe scummed it, so he still can get the hammer. He doesn't have to go up the mountain just to go get it.
Yeah, and the reason Reg didn't get it earlier is that Reg did the Death Mountain play, the Light Death Mountain play really early before he had Hookshot, so he has not been up there since, whereas Carnath has.
Yeah, getting confirmation there that it is indeed Quake medallion required from Meyer.
Yeah, he has been to East Death Mountain eventually, but he did not go up there early. Carnath went up there, found everything, and told him where Mir was. But since he already had already saved Scum the Mushroom at that point, he knew he didn't need to do powder.
All right, because of the fact that Etium went ahead and flooded the key, he had to go ahead and do a diver down to go retrieve it so he could finish the dungeon. Well, Etium just found the other bow sitting in Swamp Palace, so that is Silver Arrow's number.
Yeah, meanwhile on Team 63 and the third side, looks like Carnath is going to play out this pod play all the way to the end, and then presumably follow up with Eastern as well, since you're right here. While Reg and Daaanty both run around in Desert Palace together. Etium cutting the way through Argus there, no issues. Pick up their second crystal on his side there.
Oh no, this is what we were fearful of. Reg is going to do Ice Palace without the hammer. You know, the funny thing is, if it works out the way that it might work out, it could just have hammer go mode. I mean, Fire Rod and Quake are both in here.
Yeah, but unfortunately on their side, that's going to be a big time loss because they're going to end up having to double dip both Pod and then they'll have to double dip Ice Palace as well to complete the bosses.
Interestingly enough, gets a small key there, so if he wanted to do Icebreaker and still continue, he could. Which he looks like he's going to do. He's pulling out that cane. And he doesn't need to hit the switch, and especially since we know where the hammer is, he doesn't need to hit the switch to continue.
Very nice and quick Icebreaker there. That is one of those recently discovered glitches that just saves you a ton of time, and it's actually, despite requiring a couple frame perfect inputs, it's actually a lot easier to learn than you'd think. There are some really good videos out there to teach people if you haven't yet learned it and you're watching along here.
Not only did he find a key in the first chest, there was also a key in the big key chest, and now he has another key as it just disposed. Yeah, and Reg doing this routing the correct way because without the hammer, without the hammer, he didn't hit the switch. So this is the faster way to route in the big chest with Ice Tea.
Meanwhile, Carnath about to get into his Armos fight, which I believe when we were counting items earlier doesn't have an item, but is still, of course, a dungeon you need to clear. I'm not sure about whether there's an item on Helma or not on Etium's side, but we'll see that in just a sec as well.
All right, so Carnath got 2 items. There's only 1 item left, either in the map chest or on Colster. So we're going to see it from Daaanty no matter what. Are we finally going to get a Zora check? It looks like it.
Yeah, and if you're rooting for Team 63 and a third here, you really want there to be something good in Zora here.
And Daaanty accidentally pulling the tongue there on the statue when he didn't really need to. Kind of a muscle memory thing. You have to work out of your system, you know, in these early stages of Icebreaker being allowed. But other than that, that was the last item in Ice, so Ice is empty. And Zora... Oh, has the Quake Medallion! Oh, no.
Oh, and that is big for Team 63 and a third. However, it is worth noting that might drag them to do Mire more quickly, which at this point, since we're only really looking for Fire Rod, would probably not be good the more time they spend in there.
I'm just curious as to when the Titans mitts are going to make their way back to Zora, because I think this is Daanty's best chance to go check him, is to mirror after Ice Palace.
Yeah, and after the early stinginess on rupees, everybody in the game now has plenty of rupees to go along. It's just they've basically completely isolated that check.
I guess the worst thing that could happen is if they choose to do TR without the fire rod in hopes of getting Quake, because that would be the biggest time sink, I think, depending on how many keys you have available in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, and especially since Turtle Rock, if the key layout works that you can go all the way to Laser Bridge, it's not really a thing that saves you a ton of time in, to go mode Turtle Rock versus a normal clear. Daaanty doing a very nice job on Cold Stare there, getting the early spin to trap them in the corner and make the rest of the fight much easier.
Okay, so this is good. Daaanty's gonna go get the Quake Medallion right now. This will ensure that they don't forget it.
Yeah, and meanwhile on Team 63 and a third side, they just found bombs in Mire, which I did not see if that was the first or second item, but there are only 2 items in here, so the chances of getting Fire Rod, which at this point would be the only thing that could really help them out, are pretty low.
All right, Etium takes down Armless Knights, gets his 4th dungeon done, and Daaanty's about to get the good news that, hey, well, I mean, good or bad, depending on your school of thought, if you're Team 63 and a third, it's bad because that means it didn't isolate it.
Yeah, and at this point, the 2 main questions that are still out there are, where is Fire Rod? And then also, when is Team 63 and a third going to go back for that magic bat check with powder? Because that is the hammer, and they don't have it. And they've sort of isolated that check, having already done everything else in both Village and CAC.
Eddie, I'm going to go ahead and stop and get the safety while he's over here on his way to his Ice Rod. So this is a good heads-up play here for any kind of future dangerous situations that he'd be putting himself.
Yeah, and the other nice subtle thing is that since Daaanty's in Mire right now, which is a clearable crystal, that'll allow Etium to go somewhere else. Maybe do one of the desert dungeons that Daaanty has already done, maybe do if there's any more isolated checks. So then Daaanty will be able to say, hey, here's where you need to go, here's how to make it as quick as possible.
Now at this point, if you're Titans mids, you're probably thinking GT now.
Yeah, I mean, you're thinking either Misery Mire or, yeah, or maybe on your way to GT, you at least dip into Turtle Rock and see.
I don't think you dip into Turtle Rock. I think you go straight to GT. Since you can just go to Turtle Rock after GT anyway. Just go to the right. Like, judging by how far ahead in progress Daaanty is, He's already gonna go complete his 5th dungeon here. He's probably gonna be the one that heads into GT first. Yeah, so Meyer also being empty, only having bombs and a single arrow.
Yeah, which at this point, if you look at how the Titans Myths have routed dungeons, they'll have basically cleared every dungeon except TR. One or the other will have at least have cleared it out of items, so they'll know that the remaining spots for Fire Rod are very, very limited.
Yeah, and not to mention, another thing I just thought of is that the Fire Rod is limited to not be on the far right side of GT. So basically, if Big Key is there, then you can just ignore top of GT as well. Etium making a bit of a routing mistake there. He should have done Ice Palace into doing Zora. That way he just get the dungeon done and then go straight to Zora from there. Not too big of a deal, though. But Etium is going to go ahead and make a safer play here and do the Pyramid Fairy while it is still fresh on his mind.
Yeah, and I think that's probably definitely part of the communication there, just knowing how many what locations are still available to your team as a whole, and knowing that, you know, if Daaanty doesn't get it paid off in this one item left, that you have a decent chance you've got those 2 items, you've got whatever you can do in Turtle Rock, and then you've got Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, Reg now going to be doing Fake Powder here. This is going to feel pretty bad since I'm fairly certain at this point they know that this is their only check left. So that'll be their hammer, and they might also be thinking GT after this, but we'll see.
Yeah, but the unfortunate part is that since they've already been to Ice Palace, they've already been through Pod, they're going to end up double dipping a lot of dungeons.
Yep, that is the single worst part of the late hammer for them. So it wasn't Pyramid Fairy. Fairly certain at this point, we only have Turtle Rock and GT left to us.
Yeah, meanwhile, Etium stopping to buy potions on his way makes a lot of sense here. If you're already pulling out the flute, it doesn't cost you much to flute up there and get a potion or 2. Makes the rest of your game safer.
And not having Fire Rod from Meyer makes us a bit slower just because you can't do the spooky action glitch. So, feels a little bad. But that's how the seed got rolled.
Yeah, and so since we're about an hour in, just to give everybody a reset, this is the Link to the Past Randomizer League here on SpeedGaming 3. My name is Arusta. My co-commentator is Relkin. We've got 2 excellent trackers backing us up, Math Girl and Yoinker's Wife. Thank you for pushing buttons and keeping us in line here. This is a co-op seed between the Titans Myths, represented by Daaanty and Etium, versus Team 63 1/3, represented by Reg and Carnath. For playoff implications, since this is the last week of the seed, if the Titans Myths win, which they look to be in fairly good shape thus far, they will actually clinch a playoff spot. However, if they lose, they are out of the playoffs, so a lot on the line here.
All right, Daaanty taking down Vitreous gets his 5th dungeon done. I guess I should say 6th because Aghanim was required. So 6th dungeon for Daaanty. going to be doing go mudding Pod, Eastern, and Swamp Palace, and then heading up the mountain to start heading to Turtle Rock / GT.
Yeah, and I think the question of whether you at least check that first chest in Turtle Rock and see if it's real is maybe something you decide based on how close you are with your teammate. Because one thing to note about the way this league is scored this week is it's based on average finish time. So you really want to finish fast, but you also want to finish close to your opponent. Because if you finish first and your opponents finish second and third, while your teammate is in a distant fourth, you can actually lose even though you were first overall.
All right, Carnath finishing up his fifth dungeon. Goodness, counting is hard today. All right, anyways, going to be going to finish up Thieves Town since he did not do Thieves Town earlier.
Yeah, and looks like Carnath is going to show off our diver down glitch. Wanted to do it with Samaria, but then realized he can't. Reg, excuse me.
Yeah, since neither Carnath nor Reg had done Swamp at this point, they'll be gonna get their silvers. In fact, I think Swamp Palace will be the next destination for Carnath since he wants his silvers as soon as possible to save the most amount of time. All right, Daaanty gets his silver arrows out of the back of Swamp Palace. Going to be clearing out Argus here. Etium on his Vitreous fight, doing pretty well so far, doing damage boost strats. Yeah, nicely done there. One silver arrow shot to Argus takes him down. Daaanty got his 7th dungeon done. So in terms of dungeons done for both teams, 63 and a third. I think it looks like 4 for Reg and 5 for Carnath.
Yeah, and it is worth noting that this is the first time I believe either of them has been to Swamp Palace, so...
Oh, okay. Actually, it actually should be 5 for Reg. He went ahead and killed Argus. He's just coming back in for left side. Yeah, in terms of dungeons cleared, the mitts are up a dungeon basically for both players. Trying to use the ice rod there on Lamo, not exactly working out as well as he'd liked. But a 2-cycle is basically the best you can hope for with ice rod.
Yeah, Ice Rod can be kind of tricky to use because it's got a just tiny bit more lag when you fire it than Fire Rod, so if you're used to Fire Rod, it can really throw you off.
All right, Reg making his way back to the Ice Palace. He's already found 2 of the items, so he'll most likely do Icebreaker again, and he'll see the last item sitting in the map room and make his way to Cold Stair.
Meanwhile, Carnath pulling out that cape to handle blind very quickly, very efficiently. Nicely done. Reg getting the icebreaker there. Nicely done. While Daaanty is just one silver arrow, kills Helma very efficiently, as always. Silvers make that fight very nicely to do.
I'm a bit curious as to why Carnath isn't just going to swamp before pod. It might save a little bit of time to get the silvers. Whatever. Doesn't make a huge difference. The most time silvers can save is on like Armos or Vitreous or Ganon. And of course, can't forget those mimics. Sailor Nep in chat, the other teammate of the Titans Mitt. Etium went for the stair clip there. He didn't get it all the way, but he got it well enough that he's in the staircase. Reg needs to be a bit careful here. One knock from a cold stair puff will do him in. Takes him down. That is dungeon number 6 for Reg. And Etium close behind, going into his cold stair fight as well. Reg, what are you doing? Reg?
Is he thinking he left an item somewhere and going to check it?
He may in fact have skipped that one chest on the way to Cold Stair. Which honestly, at this point, I think I just cut my losses and go. Honestly, because Carnath could just go in there and figure out if something's there.
Yeah, especially at this point, knowing that you almost last locationed that hammer, this might be a time where I'd say, you know what? We know how good Titans Mitts are. They're almost in the playoffs. We got to make some gambles. We'll leave that item. If it bites us, but we're probably already behind.
Yeah, exactly. That, and like I said before, the fact that Carnath still has to do Ice Palace just to me, just like you should just forget about it and let him take care of it, if anything. Yep, sure enough, he did not open that chest. All right, so it looks to me like Daaanty might be heading into GT next. May have been a bit premature on that GT Big Key guessing game. We'll just see what he chooses to do here.
Yeah, but either way, opening it up makes a bunch of sense.
Yeah, no, he's going to open it up for sure, but it's just a debate of whether he's going to do it right now or, you know, have one go one way and one do the other.
Yeah, knowing how far ahead you are of your teammate right now, because teammate still has to do Hera, maybe one of you does at least the first chest.
So Daaanty is going to go ahead and go into Turtle Rock to check out the first chest to see if he can get something. Etium is going to go ahead and finish up Tower of Hera since he needs to do that anyway.
So are we counting our big key guessing game based on Daaanty or Etium? Probably Daaanty, because he'll be there slightly sooner.
Etium going to go take a quick pit stop in Hookshot Cave to get his silvers. And also, I want to say there was, a potion in there.
Yeah, which if you're already entering, even though it takes a couple seconds to do, if you're already entering Hookshot Cave, getting the pre-filled potion is more than worth the 5 seconds you burn on it.
All right, so yeah, get your guesses in chat. Daaanty is about to enter GT and figure out where that big key is. If you want to guess where the fire rod might also be, get your guesses in chat as well. All right, this makes sense, going right first, because the only place the fire rod could be is here, tile room, or left side, or upper GT, depending on where the big key is. All right, nice hair pot there by Etium. He is about to go kill Moldorm. Okay, well, the big key's on a torch, so that game ended really quickly. So the answer is 3. And looks like Lilifin is our winner today. Congratulations. You win a bunch of internet points that totally aren't useless. Nice little half magic bonus there in DM's room. Etium gets his 7th crystal. Shovel as well. So Fire Rod was not in the map chest. So at this point, Titan's Mitts can completely forget about the right side because nothing over there will have the Fire Rod.
Well, except tile room.
Well, I said far right. I meant far right side, but yes.
But yeah, I mean, it makes sense to, you know, even for Etium here, knowing that the first chests are not going to do anything, makes sense to go this way because the odds are definitely in your favor.
All right, with the bonk on that first chest, Daanty's in Rando room, gets a red potion. All right, so Fire Rod is in. There's 5 chests down here. You cannot forget the big chest down here. All right. Reg taking care of Pod. Carnath taking care of Swamp. Looks like Carnath is also going to do Pyramid Fairy after he's done with Swamp, or after he just now finished Swamp. And there it is, Fire Rod in the big chest. Did anyone guess big chest?
I don't think anybody did.
No one wins. Great. We all lose. All right, and with the acquisition of that Fire Rod, yes, Daaanty's going to go ahead and take care of Turtle Rock while he's up here. Does not want to have to climb the mountain again. And after that, he will go take care of GT since he doesn't want to climb the mountain. Yet again, same reason for doing Turtle Rock now. And after that, just go taking care of Mothula, and then save and quit to take care of Ganon.
Yeah, and this is one of the few times that the fact you start on the pyramid is actually nice, because once you do your save and quit here, you can mirror over and then flute over to 3, but then once you kill Mothula, you just save and quit right there and respawn right at the Ganon hole.
And we got a vanilla Turtle Rock big key, so Daaanty will not be skipping the big chest when it comes down to it. All right, Reg taking care of Armos Knights in Eastern Palace. Carnath going to be going through Ice Palace. Yeah, and for them, they know it either has to be Turtle Rock or GT at this point. So, going to be seeing Reg head up the mountain to go take care of Hera, and or maybe check Turtle Rock first chest, and then head into GT.
Yeah, Carnath did full clear Hera, so Reg already knows the answer isn't Hera, but does need to do it.
Woo! Ooh, that Chain Chomp got... Oh, no! I jinxed it. Well, he has that fairy, I'm fairly certain, so good on him for picking it up. Daaanty showing his distaste for that vanilla big key in Turtle Rock, dropping a couple bombs.
It's also possible, because they're in the voice chat, that was the same minute he heard about etium, unfortunately, taking that death and needing to ferry. So it might be that, too.
All right, Daaanty about to get the information whether etium needs to go out to the big chest or not. Etium. Oh, he almost forgot about the big. All right, well, good news for Etium. He can skip the big chest today. And Reg now getting that information that the Fire Rod is in GT today.
Carnath about to enter his cold stare fight here.
Good first try hair pot there from Reg. Daaanty, the first of our runners to get to Laser Bridge to see where the small key is. Ooh, taking a Moldorm fall, Reg. Ooh, Carnath, got to be a little careful. Ooh, oh wow, very close. Nicely done finishing up that cold stare fight without taking it. So that is Carnath and Reg's 7th crystal each. All right, Daaanty with the backdoor gold sword strats here on Trinex. This is the fastest way to kill him. Oh, I also got to shout out the shield lag reduction strats there. I don't appreciate him, however, walking around a bunch while Trinex is exploding. Ooh, Reg thinking tile room, I guess. It's not going to work out, unfortunately.
Yeah, that might be a play where, you know, having last location that hammer, having had to dip back into Ice Palace, maybe you're just hoping against hope. Let's go for the gutsiest play we can, hope this works out and allows us to catch up. Because you know your opponent's almost always going to last location tile room.
And all that remains for each of the Titans' mitts is to climb GT and kill Mothula, and then save and quit to go kill Ganon.
Yeah, and it is worth noting that both of the Titans mitts do have a bunch of safeties. I think they've both got at least one pre-filled bottle with a potion in it, and I think maybe two per. So with that, plus silvers, plus at least tempered, their Ganon fights would be pretty solid.
What I will, however, point out is the fact that etium bonked that key dash on the big key door. How dare you miss that easiest key dash? Just stand where you are and press the A button. Daaanty, a little low on health. If he takes a hit here from the fireball, he will burn his fairy. Oh, now if he takes a hit from anything, he's going to burn. Not sure what Carnath is doing here, considering he knows that the fire out has to be here. He's just going to go ahead and climb. All right, interesting.
Maybe he's trying, maybe they're dividing it up, so he's going to do the four pre-Moldorm chests, and while Reg does the rest of the basement. Because there is a chance that Fire Rod could be at the top. Oh, but you know what Reg didn't just do?
Well, I hope he remembers at least. Daaanty with the hover on Moldorm 2 says, I don't care. Moldorm, I do not care about you. Don't mirror! No!
Spike cave check?
That hurts. Any chance of them coming back is kind of gone now. Man, I think honestly, just learning to like knowing to check that big chest kind of just comes with experience of like entrance rando or something like that. Because like for me, I never forget to check it if I have the opportunity to. Just experience upon experience of doing open standard, 7-7. You find your big key, you're good to go. I can see why stuff like this would be, more common for, not very diverse skill set with randomizer mode.
Yeah, and I'm kind of wondering where he's going to go next, because we know Carnath is not going to find anything, and I think they've already cleared out pretty much everything.
Well, they did get that shovel, so he's probably going to go check that. And I think at this point he's thinking, oh man, it's in GT somewhere, and I'm going to have to go back and do it.
Meanwhile, both Daaanty and etium finishing off their Agatu fights very nicely. Rushing up to Mothula, of course.
Alright, so Carnath is going to be getting the information here. Oh, Reg's going to go get some potions, I think. Carnath is going to get the intel that the fire rod's not up here. And hopefully they both realize that, oh, it's in the big chest. Alright, Daaanty on his way to Mothula, etium on his way to the back of Skull Woods. And here comes the big moment of, uh-oh. Carnath opens a chest. What is going through their minds right now?
I don't know. I really hope they, even remember that big chest can have something, because that, like you said earlier, that's something you don't really encounter a lot, but if you play just normal 7-7s or sort of seeds.
Either way, that is the last dungeon complete for Daaanty. He's going to save and quit and go take on Ganon. I think Reg does realize now he's heading towards GT, which makes me think he realized his mistake.
Yeah, and one nice little thing about having a seed that plays out like this, where you have to do a dungeon right before Ganon, is you do get that nice free refill. So he has plenty of magic for his Ganon fight.
Well, I guess I spoke too soon. This looks like they may have just completely forgotten about Big Chest. All right, either way, that is pendant number 3, dungeon number 11 for Etium. He's also going to be saving and quitting to Ganon. Daaanty already on phase 3. This should be quick and easy with butter and silver. Etium's got a little bit more work to do just because he has tempered, but it's not going to be a huge deal anyway. Yeah, this is... Oh, Etium takes a death there on Ganon. He's going to have to redo the fight. Daaanty on phase 4 gets 1 silver in.
Get your GGs in chat for Daaanty.
All right, Etium on phase 3.
All right, and we will do our interviews shortly afterwards. SpeedGaming 3 does have a different thing starting up at 3, so these interviews will be pretty quick, but and by 3, I mean 5 p.m. Eastern, 8 minutes from now.
Yeah, just want to make sure we got that information out correctly. All right, and Etium's got 1. Okay, he's already got... Okay, he's got all the silver hits. GG's for Etium. And real quick here, now that we have Daaanty in voice chat with him, GG's to you. Just run us, lightning fast. Tell us how the seed went for you guys.
It was kind of bad. This is 2 seeds. We've had to leave GT to do TR, and yeah, I would not recommend doing this again.
Yep, that's just about how these things go, huh? Let's see if we can get Etium in here for a quick recap as well. I will go and say that it looks like Reg and Carnath have both forfeited, as understandable. They probably didn't realize that they had skipped the big chest, which is it's kind of easy to do when you're not super accustomed to entrance mode. So
Yeah, Thermos just in case, and it looked like that was the case. I know we're, I guess, pressed for time a little bit.
Hey, I don't play modes where the GT big chest is a thing. End of story.
There's no such thing as a GT big chest, right?
No, there's not. There's also no such thing as that statue push in the back of Swamp Palace. But that's less important.
Yeah, but GG's to you both. You did pretty well. I guess just the muscle memory of doing 7-7, open standard, just kind of got the better of you at the end.
Yeah, and there were just a lot of mental lapses the whole way around. Like, we forgot Magic Bat was a thing collectively until about 20 seconds after Vitreous dropped that arrow, which, oh well. Thinking too far ahead of the route and what we're each going to do, and not enough on what we're actually doing. So, but hey, GG's regardless. Better players won. That's how it should be.
Yo, GG.
Yeah, and this does clinch the playoffs for you guys, Titans Myths. How do you feel?
Pretty good.
We made it come down to the wire last year for playoffs, so we figured why not do that again. So we planned our losses strategically. I mean, I'm kidding. No, we were actually sweating it for a good bit this whole season. This season's been wild just to watch, be a part of everything. So playoffs feels pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. I can't wait.
Yeah, awesome. GG's to you guys once again for making it to playoffs like last year. So we're gonna have to wrap it up pretty shortly here. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask for some final thoughts here before we close out. Any final thoughts?
Not really. I just you might have noticed I saved and quit out a pod after I got the mushroom. Maybe you were wondering why I did that.
I think it may have had to do with your key usage.
No, it was an accident. I just accidentally put it down and hit save and quit.
Yeah, it happens.
Oh well.
Also, the dream was realized. We got the
that.
fire rod. The fire rod being in that big chest. Etium told me while we were playing. He said, "Well, I've always wanted a seed where I got go mode in the GT big chest," and he's like, "Now I've done it."
Yeah. So even if we didn't make playoffs, at least I still got that.
Because that's more important, right?
Fun is the most important thing. But yeah, GG's due to Team 63 in the third again, and thank you guys for the restream and all that. I'll say all the names because of time, but yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, big shout outs to all the behind the scenes guys. I spent my fair share of time there, so I know what it's like, and I know there's a lot to be done for all you guys, and you guys do good work.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. It was a pleasure to calm this for you. Again, GG's to the Titans Mitts for making playoffs, and Team 63 and a third for giving us an entertaining race. My name is Arusta. My co-commentator today was Relkin. Shoutouts to our trackers, Math Girl and Yoinker's Wife. Thank you for watching here on SpeedGaming 3. If you want to watch more Link to the Past Randomizer League, there is another match going on right now at SpeedGaming 2, and then another one after that starting at 6:10. So you can just hop right over there. We're going to clear out of the channel for Final Fantasy Rando. So if you're interested in Final Fantasy, definitely stick around. Should be an interesting thing. Thanks. Have a good one.
Yep. See you guys later.